4 decades, we've had trade deficits in the United States of America, and nobody said it was an emergency? Democratic and Republican presidents? You know what that says to me? That it's not an emergency because it hasn't been for 4 decades. It says to me that we should bring tariffs back to the United States Congress so that we can make that determination as the Constitution has said and not try to go around Congress. That's just unbelievable to me. Let me ask this question. Maybe they missed it. Who was the president and who has been the president since January 20th, 2025?
Donald J. Trump.
Okay. And who was the president in 2024?
One believes President Biden.
One believes? You one of those non-believers that the election, the American people didn't vote?
I am not.
You're not? You said one believes? Do you believe in the Constitution of the United States and it should be abided by?
I believe in the Constitution of the United States.
So you believe in it without any second thought. You don't have to think about it. You believe in it and you would abide by it. Is that correct?
I have and I do, sir.
Okay. Well, do you know that a president has said he may or may not? He don't know?
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about the current trade war between the United States of America, led by the Trump administration, and China, led by Xi Jinping, the CCP. And if you're watching MSDNC or MSCCP, then you would have thought that, hey, China's winning, and there's no reason whatsoever for China to ever come to the table to have trade talks unless President Trump completely falls, right? That is essentially the narrative that has been blasted on the China News Network and MSCCP, okay? However, as I've been telling you guys, when it comes to this trade war, both sides definitely are hurting, but I definitely believe China is hurting more than we're hurting, and now you're starting to see signs that the Chinese are trying to come to the table, okay? They're willing to come to the table, and President Trump does not have to take off all the tariffs in order to do so, even though both sides have been ratcheting it down in regards to removing tariffs on specific key goods and services that they need. And in the case of China, I personally believe that they're struggling much more, their economy is struggling much more than MSCCP and the China News Network would like for the American people to believe, which is why they have stopped publishing hundreds of statistics, making it harder to know what's going on in the country. Okay, so the Communist Party of China has stopped publishing data, right, the official data about what's going on in their country. Like, for example, land sale measures, foreign investment data, unemployment indicators have gone dark, right? They're not publishing the data. Data on cremations and business confidence index have also been cut off. Even official soy sauce production reports are gone, okay? So essentially, they're wiping away any type of data that people can use in order to evaluate what's going on in the country. Now, this was happening before the trade war. My point is that China's economy is probably not as strong as they would like people to believe, right? Last year, they basically said that they grew at 5% GDP growth. I don't believe that, right? I think it's more around 2 to 3%. And one of the reasons why you know this is because a prominent Chinese economist at a state-owned securities firm came out and said that, yeah, China may have grew at around 2% over the past few years. We really don't know the real number. And Xi Jinping punished the guy, right? Punished them, sent him to the gulags for saying things that the CCP doesn't like, right? So, again, I'm just saying, my point is that China's economy is not that strong. There are reports that factories are closing down, that there's mass unemployment, that there is disruption, okay, and protests and things like that happening. Fears of deflation, which is certainly not good, okay? You typically get deflation in recessions. And again, we kind of know that things aren't going well because China has decided that they're going to cut interest rates, right? They're cutting interest rates, which means, yeah, they are struggling, right? They're struggling heavily, okay? So this is why I'm not surprised to see that the U.S. and China officials will meet in Geneva to discuss trade, right? Which I personally believe that behind closed doors, both parties have already been talking. This is why you're seeing some of these tariffs come off. But I think this is kind of now formalizing, telling the world that, yes, we are, talking, right? We're beginning to talk about this trade war, even though I believe they've been talking about this for a while now, right? At least for the past 2 weeks, they've been secretly talking. But again, you got to play to your audience, right? And, China has a few audiences that they're trying to play to. Their own people, first and foremost. They're trying to save face. They're trying to make it look like China is stronger than the United States of America. And also they're playing to the liberal media, which, again, also supports China and the Democrat Party, right? Which is what I have to talk about in this video, okay? Because Scott Bessent is going to be leading these talks that we're having with China about trade. And he was questioned by the Democrats during a hearing on this trade war, in which Democrats tried to get Scott Bessent with a bunch of gotchas. And let's just say that it didn't work out well for the Democrats during this hearing.
My concern is on the tariffs. Who pays tariffs, Mr. Secretary? No. Answer the questions I asked, please. I only have 5 minutes. Who pays tariffs?
Sorry? Well,
Who pays tariffs?
Sorry,
Mr. Secretary, please.
Excuse me.
The question is very simply, who pays tariffs, Mr. Chairman? I'd like him to answer that question.
Well,
He wants to answer other questions.
well, Congressman, if the exporters, dislike tariffs so much, why wouldn't they? If I think what you're trying to get me to say.
Did you remember the question? I'm not sure you did. Who pays tariffs?
It's a very complicated question.
Reclaiming my time. People pay tariffs, right? Reclaiming my time, Mr. Secretary. Reclaiming my time, Mr. Secretary. Reclaiming my time. You clearly aren't going to answer it. I'm not going to waste my time having you go, Mr. Secretary, Mr. Chairman, I asked reclaiming my time. Mr. Chairman, and I asked to reclaim my time. Did I not? No, I said reclaiming my time because he's clearly not answering it.
Mr. Secretary, did all the individuals working with DOGE who were given access to Treasury's and CFPB's computer databases receive all of the required clearances and security training before they were granted access?
Again, they were granted read-only access at Treasury. There were two.
So let me just say,
DOGE employees.
please, you can't filibuster here. This is not the filibuster playground. And so what you did was you let these strangers into our Treasury with access to all of the data, all of the personnel information, and you just opened the door. Why'd you do that?
No, ma'am. They were Treasury employees.
Oh, are you saying today in front of this committee that all of them were Treasury employees, that the 25-year-old who's being identified, who worked for Elon Musk, was allowed into the Treasury? Was that person there?
He was a Treasury employee, as was Tom Krause, the senior person on the DOGE team. There were only two people.
There were DOGE employees also.
Sorry?
Do you know, were you aware that there were DOGE employees coming into our Treasury getting all of our personal information?
Well, ma'am, there is no such thing as a DOGE employee. There were Treasury employees.
I tend to disagree with you based on the information I had. Has any information been downloaded by anyone working with DOGE from any of Treasury's or CFPB's computers? Answer yes or no.
Not to my knowledge.
You better learn.
Gentlewoman yields back. The gentleman from Michigan, the vice chairman of our
In 2016, former Secretary Jack Lew announced that Harriet Tugman was to be the new face of the $20 bill. Can you tell me what's the current status of this project?
No, ma'am, I can't, but my staff will get back to you.
No, I want you to get back to me. Because, see, there seems to be an issue when it comes to things that affect people of color or people who live in poverty, whether it is what you're doing with Social Security, what you are doing with restricting funds.
The gentlewoman's time is
I
expired.
want you,
the gentlewoman's
will
time
you
is
respond
expired.
to me?
The gentleman
Mr.
from
Chairman,
Texas.
I need him to answer
time.
if he will. I'm not
the
a staff
gentlewoman can
person.
submit
I'm not
questions
asking
for the
him
record.
to have his staff report to
The
me.
gentlewoman
So,
can
Mr.
submit-
Chairman, I'm addressing it to you to ask
gentlewoman's
him
time has
to
expired.
respect me. Mr. Chairman,
The gentlewoman's
I'm talking
time
to
has
you.
expired.
I need him to address
the gentlewoman's
if he will
time
answer
has
me.
expired.
No, I'm not going to.
The gentlewoman's
yield.
time
I'm
has
not
expired.
going to stop until you
The
direct
gentlewoman's
him
time
to
has
answer
expired.
to me as a member of Congress.
The gentlewoman's
Mr.
time
Chairman,
has
point
expired.
of
The
order
gentlewoman
to
has
you.
offered that she can
Mr.
submit questions
Chairman,
for the
point
record.
of order to you. I will not stop. I will not be silent.
The gentlewoman is
until
not
you
offering
direct
an
him
appropriate
to answer.
parliamentary inquiry. Does
Will
the gentlewoman
you-
have a parliamentary
Yes,
inquiry?
I do.
Please state the parliamentary inquiry.
As a member of the United States Congress addressing the Secretary, I am asking you to rule on asking this hostile witness to direct his response to me versus having him tell me that his staff will respond to me. My staff person didn't ask him the question. I did.
Mr. Secretary, do you support an exemption to tariffs on items that parents need to care for their kids? Yes or no?
Congressman, what you're referring to are
Yes or no?
what you're referring to are.
I'm reclaiming my time because I don't want you to filibuster and give me some macroeconomic answer. Families at home are hurting, and so just give me a direct answer.
I am going to agree with you that the.
So yes, you do support an exemption on
we are
tariffs for
considering-
products that are essential
we
for
are
families for their
considering
babies.
Exemptions on E4 items, which.
I'm sorry, I have to reclaim my time.
which
I'm reclaiming my time. I am,
are
Mr. Chair,
included
I
in
am
there.
reclaiming my time. Give me my time back. I'm reclaiming my time. I just want a simple yes or no. Do you support an exemption to tariffs on items that parents need to care for their kids? Because you all claim you're pro-family. I cannot hear the words you say because I see the things that you do every day. So clear it up. Yes or no? Do you support an exemption to tariffs on items that parents need to care for their babies?
It is under consideration.
Great. Good. I don't know what's stopping an exemption from going into effect today, so do it now.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? The Democrats are a complete and total embarrassment to this country, okay? You just saw Ayanna Pressley ask Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent about whether or not there will be exemptions for tariffs on, I don't know, baby products and stuff like that. She doesn't give Scott Bessent a chance to answer the question. She says specifically, I don't want some macroeconomic answer. AKA, I don't want to hear you give me an explanation of the economics of what I'm asking for or what I'm asking about. I just want you to give me a yes or no so I can get a gotcha, right? That's literally all it is. You got Democrats in this hearing asking about Harriet Tugman being on the $20 bill as if that is a pressing issue for the American people, right? And then getting pissed when the Treasury Secretary says, yeah, I'll get somebody on my staff to give you an answer to that, right? He's not concerned about that, right? He personally is not concerned about Harriet Tugman being on the $20 bill, right? That's not what he's concerned about. That's not a priority for him. So yes, he's going to get his staffer to get back with you because, again, that would be the concern of somebody that is at the staffer level, okay? Not the Treasury Secretary running the department. The Democrat that asked Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent about, well, who pays the tariffs? Scott Bessent tries to answer the question. Nope, I'm not going to let you answer the question. I'm going to basically force you to say yes or no to my gotchas. The format of these hearings has to be changed, to be honest with you. Republicans and Democrats do the same thing with these hearings where they bring these people in to testify and they don't let anybody speak except the people they agree with, right? The people they disagree with, they don't let them speak. It's nothing but gotchas. And to be honest with you, I'm sick and tired of it, right? From both sides, okay? These hearings should not be used as political theater. They should be used so that the American people get more information about what the administration is doing, right? That is what the point of the hearings are supposed to be about, or to learn more about a certain topic or subject or whatever, but that's not what it's about anymore, okay? It's a show. But I think the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, did a good job of dealing with some of these nonsensical questions that, again, are not being asked in good faith from these Democrats.
For 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I want to raise a point of order.
Yes, ma'am.
But I don't want the clock to be eating my time.
I'm sorry. Yes,
I would like for the witness to be swearing in before I ask my questions.
the chair doesn't see a need for that. You may ask your question. Your time can start the gentlewoman's time over at 5 minutes.
Secretary Bessent, You were on CNBC earlier this week making claims saying we are very close and maybe we will see some deals this week on tariffs. So tell us, tell the American people, tell small businesses and consumers, tell retirees, specifically, which countries are you close to striking deals with?
I'm sorry, Congresswoman, but that would not benefit the United States.
No. I'm asking you a question based on the statement that you made on CNBC.
And I am telling you that it would be detrimental to the interest of the United States for me to answer that question.
Why would that be detrimental?
Because as the negotiations may still be in process as we speak, as we are not at the end of the week yet, I am sure that you, through your question, would not want to compromise the U.S. negotiations.
Reclaiming my time,
Would you?
Secretary Bessent, the president goes into a press conference and claims that there are negotiations going on. And then the next day, there's no negotiations going on. So why would you not answer my question? And that will be considered detrimental to the American people, to the American economy. I do not understand. Despite your claim...
I'm happy to say there are negotiations going on. I'm not going to reveal the details.
No filibuster. No filibuster here.
So how long do you think those negotiations will take before they are concluded?
There are numerous countries, as I have said, if you saw my CNBC interview, which you referenced, that there are 18 important trading partners, and we are moving forward at all deliberate speed with those.
Do you consider these negotiations advanced negotiations?
Some of them are quite advanced.
So
I'm going to tell you guys, I'm sick and tired of Democrats and the mainstream liberal media asking about when the deal's going to get done. Because as Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent lays out, asking that question is actually detrimental to the negotiation, right? But that's why they keep asking it, because they're trying to undermine the negotiation. A real trade deal is not going to be negotiated in a month, in 2 months, 3 months. It's probably, realistically, half a year to a year to actually really hammer out the details, right? These are bespoke deals. These are complex deals. Not every country is the same, right? So we're not going to be negotiating the same deal with every single country. It just depends. And this is why you have to have patience. But these people don't have patience because they know that if they continue to pressure the administration on trying to slap together some deals, right, that nothing really changes, okay? And this is basically an attempt to pressure the administration into folding to China. That's what they want to do. They would much rather see Trump lose than for America to win. That's what we're witnessing here. I'm not worried about when the trade deals are going to get done. I'm not worried about if they're talking to other countries or not. I know they're talking to other countries. I know that other countries want to come to the table and to make a deal. Of course, they all want to make deals. Who wouldn't? Of course, they want access to this market. So we are making the deals. They're negotiations. Don't worry about the timeline. Typically, again, it takes years to negotiate these trade deals. So people got to understand that it's not something that's going to happen overnight, and you shouldn't want it to happen overnight, right? If we're going to be negotiating a deal, we should not be looking for a sloppy deal that's thrown together to please Wall Street and the mainstream liberal media. That's ridiculous. That's nonsense. The whole point of what we're doing is to reorganize global trade, and that takes time. So yes, this line of questioning, begging for when a deal is going to get done is so annoying to me because, again, the intentions of it is to undermine the president. The intentions are not to provide clarity to the American people or anything like that. It quite literally is to weaken the president's position. That's what they're trying to do, and they know it.
You expect this deal to be more than memorandums of understanding? You expect them to be full negotiated trade deals?
I believe that they will be the agreements in principle, and then we will paper them over in the coming months. But once we reach an agreement, then I am sure that the other countries will live up to it.
Okay. In congressional testimony yesterday, you said the U.S. has not started negotiating with China on tariff reductions. Does that continue to be your position, yes or no?
As you may have read,
yes or no, sir?
As you may have read in the press, I will be going to Switzerland, and the negotiations will begin on Saturday.
Okay, so the president told you that that will be your answer today.
This woman is ridiculous, bro. Did she just get off the boat, bro? Real talk. Did she just cross the border? Okay, I got a real question about this woman. We need to look into her background, right? We need to check her status, okay? Where's she from, right? Where is she from?
So can you tell who from the Trump administration is engaged in those discussions?
Which discussions?
With China.
Trade discussions?
Pardon?
I'm sorry.
Trade discussions, yes, sir.
Well, the trade negotiations will be led by myself and Ambassador Jameson Greer,
and
USTR.
And what about Pete Navarro?
Sorry?
Peter Navarro.
He will not be joining us in Geneva.
Thank God for that. Are those negotiations considered advanced?
Pardon?
Are those negotiations considered advanced?
As I said, on Saturday we will begin, which I believe is the opposite of advance.
Secretary Bessent.
Now, again, in all honesty, right, I actually believe that they've already been talking behind closed doors. But again, both countries have to, again, work this out in a way so that the public can, consume it in the way that both countries want. That's essentially what you're seeing happening. I think more so than anything, the talks that are happening in Switzerland are really about, again, just showing the world that, yes, we are talking, that we're trying to work this out. And they're probably going to be hashing out some of the details that have already been discussed in the secret talks.
As Treasury Secretary and a senior member of President Trump's economic team, has President Trump given you the authority to finalize any trade agreement with China or any other trading partner?
As President Trump has stated, he will have the final decision on any trade agreement.
So you're telling me all of these increased prices, the stock market losses, the production delays are all based on the wins of Donald Trump, that you could strike the best deal with Canada, Mexico, or even China that is completely in our favor, giving us everything the administration
Gentlewoman's
is
time
seeking.
has expired.
And if President Trump decides at any certain moment, for whatever reason, not to take the deal, that will be it. I yield back.
The gentleman from Oklahoma, Mr. Lucas, who is chair of our task force on monetary policy, is recognized.
Yeah, so Scott Bessent having to sit here and to talk to these low IQ Democrats about the economy, trade, tariffs, topics that these Democrats know nothing about, right? They pretend that, they know, but they really don't know. They're just repeating the talking points that were given to them from their leadership. I'm pretty sure for him it wasn't a pleasant experience, right? But, unfortunately, this is what these hearings have become. It has become a show. It's not about really getting answers to the questions or really, diving deep into any topic or learning anything or allowing the administration or the people who are witnesses to speak and to say, what is actually going on or to answer any of the questions. It's about gotchas, right? Now, I get, this whole idea about some people coming in and filibustering. But you can't say that a filibuster is happening when somebody hasn't even spoke yet. But that's what you're seeing happening here from Democrats because they're not interested in getting the real answers to the questions, right? They're interested in trying to make it a show and to get gotchas. And I think that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, I think he did a good job of not giving the Democrats the gotchas that they were looking for during his hearing. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.